Hello, good evening. Welcome to Rup-Eng-News.
Hello there. Very good evening indeed. I'm Sharma Screenis.
And our Clifford Richards.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the government is ready to provide everything to the people in the northeast except the lives lost in the 30-year brutal terrorism. People had to leave their houses and own lands to protect their lives during the period of terror. The president says that the government has been able to provide legal ownership of native lands of the people who left their villages. An unprecedented development is now being experienced by the displaced, the president said. The president was speaking at a ceremony held at Ampare Hardy High Technical Institute today. It was organized in connection with the presentation of land entitlement deeds to the people in the northeast. The aim of the Mind the Chintana Forward Vision program is to ensure the ownership of their native lands for all the people in the country. Under this initiative, title deeds of 1,000 land allotments have been presented to the people in the northeast. Legal land title deeds will also be presented to the illegal settlers in the government lands as well. The government says that the lands in the extent of 20 purchased to 3 acres will be given to the people for farming and settlement. The president presented land title deeds to a selected group of people as a token of this initiative. Addressing the gathering, the president said that the ownership of an allotment of land is to be ensured for every citizen in their native places. He added that Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim people are living in the country. They have the ownership right of the land of their birth. They have no other country. We are exhibiting the rebuilding of the country, improving it and providing its heritages to citizens. He said that no one is expecting to board citizens in the land of their birth. You are the owners of this land. Therefore, the responsibility of everyone is not to be misled by activities being carried out by certain persons with petty political ideologies. Their aim is to spread racism. The president said that he will never take back the step taken forward. He called upon the people who are providing 20% of rice to the country to strengthen the theme of grow more food and build the country.
ඉදිරියට කෘෂි ආර්ථිකය ශක්තිමත් කළා දේශීය චින්තනය තුලින් මේ මහා පොළොව සරුසාර කරන්නට ඔබට හැකි වේවායි අපි ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරමු.
The Hindu website points out that the strengthening of friendly ties with Sri Lanka is very important for the future of India. The website emphasizes that the need to promote friendship with neighboring Sri Lanka both in political and also interpersonal terms. Well, a Sri Lankan Buddhist priest who recently visited India came under a thug attack in Tamil Nadu. A group of law college students of South India participated in a protest demonstration against Sri Lanka. In the meantime, Sri Lankan Airlines have cut their flights to Chennai by half. There's a doubt whether Sri Lankan cricketers will get an opportunity to play in the upcoming IPL tournament. Rup-Eng special correspondent reported that DMK party of India demanded to impose economic sanctions against Sri Lanka. Even under these circumstances, Sinhalese, Tamils and Muslim traders are carrying out their normal business activities in peace and harmony, he said. India is the largest trade partner of Sri Lanka, following the free trade agreement between the two countries in the year 2000. The bilateral trade had recorded a new high. The value of trade between the two countries in 2011 was around $5 billion. Indian businessmen are engaged in several business fields in Sri Lanka, including hospitals, telecommunications and fuel distribution. India is the country's second largest investor. Tamil Nadu is connected to 40% of the Indo-Sri Lanka trade transactions. In a joint statement in January, foreign ministers of the two countries stated that the trade value should be increased up to 10 billion rupees in the next 3 years. Colombo Peta merchants say that they have no problems in trade transactions with India. Well, these merchants said that they will have to sell Indian goods. There's no problem with India regarding trade transactions. They noted that they will continue to bring down goods from India. The Hindu website pointed out that relations with neighboring Sri Lanka should not be allowed to be damaged on the needs of several South Indian politicians. The website noted that the positive policy adopted by the Indian government relating to Myanmar was highly successful.
Well, the Sri Lankan historians point out that all communities lived in peace and amity since a long period of time. They reiterate that campaigns spreading racism with the aim of damaging harmony among communities should be vehemently condemned. The Sri Lankan nation has a long history. The word Sinhala was included in Deepavansha, compiled in the 4th century AC for the first time. Later, it was used in several ancient books, including Sinhala Deepa and the Sinhalayange Rata. Various views on this matter were included in ancient Tamil books as well. According to historical sources, the Sri Lankan nation began after the advent of King Vijaya. The foundation for the Sinhala nation's inception was led by Singhabahu Singhasivali story, originated from areas of Kalinga, Vanga and Lata. Pali and Sanskrit languages had an influence on Sinhala language. These factors clearly indicate intercultural relationships maintained by this country since a long period of time. Tiger terrorism had disrupted the community life for around 3 decades. However, the ancient sources reveal that Sinhalese, Tamils and other communities had lived in harmony. Sri Lanka was constantly came under invasion of Chola, Pandya, Kerala and South Indians. But these rulers had also valued the interracial harmony. The Dudugamanu Elara story in the Anuradhapura era was a fine example towards this end. According to the history sources, the King Elara was not engaged in any anti-Buddhist or anti-people activities during his regime. He was considered as a king who gave up his love for his son on behalf of justice. There were several evidence to prove that armies of King Dudugamanu and Elara were comprised of Sinhala and Tamil soldiers. Several Sinhalese were appointed as ministers of King Elara at that time. According to ancient inscriptions, the Vilgamvera was built by Buddhists during the Chola kingdom in Polonnaruwa era. Several Tamil groups were given high posts during the regime of King Akbar IV. In several occasions, Sri Lankan Buddhist priests fled to the South India for protection. Muslims had arrived in the island only for trading at that time. They settled in the country marrying Sinhala women. Therefore, historians pointed out that the present Muslims are a mix of Sinhala and Muslims. Scholars are of the view that the divide and rule governing strategy adopted by the British who arrived in the island in the year 1796 and took over the ruling power of the country through up the country agreement signed on the 2nd of March 1850 was instrumental in starting racism in the island nation. The British has introduced an education system and governing reforms to suit the divide and rule strategy. A group of Sri Lankans who arrived in the island to prepare a report on Galloya National Campaign had identified Sri Lanka as the island without trouble in the book written by them under the same name. A British scholar, Bertram Hughes Farmer, in his book titled Ceylon Divided Nation, written in the year 1960, highlighted that Sri Lanka was a divided nation. It had clearly indicated the plight of Sri Lankans during the British rule. Former Director of National Museum Sirinimal Lakdu Singha pointed out that Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim, Burgher and Malay communities should live in harmony as Sri Lankans because of this historic heritage.
You're watching Rup-Eng-News. Indian scholars claim that India has lost a regional friend by voting against Sri Lanka at the Geneva UN Human Rights Council Summit. They emphasized that this view at a special political discussion with NDTV recently. Well, the political representatives sympathizing with Tigers have accused the Sri Lankan government of robbing and looting farmlands of Tamil civilians as well as their places of religious worship. Indian scholars have been able to prove logically that these accusations were baseless. The true nature of Tiger sympathizer, political party representatives and human rights activists appearing on behalf of them has also been exposed. The executive member of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Seshastri Chari, said that this attitude has falsely changed the Indian foreign policy.
Occurred in Sri Lanka. This is a very grave deviation from our stated foreign policy formulations that we will not allow any internationalization of issues that are basically within the domain of the region and also within India.
This resolution has done.
Which this resolution, last year also we did the same mistake and this year also we have again repeated the mistake.
Former Ambassador N.K. Badrakumar said that India's action greatly affected the long-term friendship between the two countries.
Several of them, including some Sri Lankan refugees,
I certainly believe that foreign policy is an extension of national policies. So there is certainly a groundswell of feeling in India. So now that is the first thing to take account of that. Now whether we took account or not, the end result is that I don't think it has satisfied the people concerned. So it is still there. The second one is friendly relations with Sri Lanka, because that country is not going to go away. This resolution is over, but that country stays, and we live with our neighbors. And friendly relations, how this is going to impact on it? I think it will impact badly. Because as you know, if you look at the voting pattern, the stunning thing is India is the only Asian country which voted for this. And in the South Asian region, the other two countries which happen to be there in Geneva at this time by way of rotation in the Council, that's Maldives and Pakistan, voted against it. Even a Western ally like Japan abstained. So major countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand and all voted against. So where do we stand?
In other stories, the Lahugala Magul Mahavihara, known as the Ruhunu Mahavihara in ancient times, to be conserved. The conservation activities are now underway. President Mahinda Rajapaksa today inspected the Lahugala Magul Mahavihara conservation activities. It consists of ancient stupa, Dhanashala and remains of Dhamma Hall. According to the history, the marriage of King Kavantesa of the Ruhuna and Vihara Mahadevi took place at this temple. The conservation activities are being carried out by the Department of Archaeology. President Rajapaksa pointed out that the responsibility of the present generation is to conserve the ancient heritage for the benefit of the future generations. Residents told the President that there was an attempt to close down the Lahugala Primary School. Emphasizing the need to maintain this school, the President directed the authorities to take measures to develop it. President Mahinda Rajapaksa also instructed Minister Ranjit Lapitiya to reconstruct the Gallamuna tank as soon as possible to coincide with the 2013 Dayatakilla exhibition. The water of this tank is used for cultivations in the area.
Well, massive crowds visited the Dayatakirula National Exhibition site at the Ampara Hardy Technical College premises on the third day of the exhibition today. It depicts the path of national development. President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the Dayatakirula exhibition site today. He inspected various stalls depicting national development. The President paid a special attention on the media zone. He also visited the Sri Lanka Rup-Eng Corporation stall at the media zone. He exchanged pleasantries with visitors to the exhibition site. Dayatakirula is not merely an exhibition or a display, but an occasion that brings massive development to rural areas in the eastern province. President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the responsibility of public servants is to implement government policies aimed at people's welfare. He stressed the need to improve their language skills to solve problems for the people promptly. Well, the President made these observations at a ceremony held at the Ampara Dayatakirula exhibition site today. Graduates who were recruited for training in public institutions in the Ampara district, out of 51,000 graduates taken into the public service, have been given permanency as development officers. The President presented letters of their permanent appointments at the ceremony today in the presence of the Eastern Province Governor, Rear Admiral Mohan Vijay Vikrama, Ministers W.D.J. Senaviratna and Ranjit Lapitiya. The President pointed out that the responsibility of public servants is to serve all people in the country irrespective of their religion and ethnicity. He added that these graduates are in the permanent government service. The responsibility of a government servant is to solve problems of the people. Everyone has the responsibility to improve the living standards of the people living in an area where a brutal 30-year of war was in existence. The government servants cannot carry out their duties giving priority to religion or ethnicity. Most of the people who receive government jobs tend to forget even their parents. The President said that he had seen such people. He called upon the graduate development officers to serve the people without forgetting how they had come to this position.
Minister Basil Rajapaksa directed People's Bank officials to introduce a loan scheme at a concessionary rate of interest for livelihood development of farmers in the Ampara district, and the aim is to encourage agriculture industry and milk production. The minister issued this directive when he addressed a ceremony organized in connection with the opening of the 181st branch of the People's Bank at a new two-story building in Mahaoya today. The bank branch was set up to coincide with the Data Kerala exhibition. People's Bank Chairman Gamini Senarath and senior officials were present.
Well, the Sri Lanka Rup-Eng Corporation has made all arrangements to bring a live telecast of the Full Moon Poe Day programs from Sripada. This is the 26th live telecast of SLRC from the Adams Peak.
Well, the wild elephants threat in several areas in the Ampara district has been intensified in the last few days. These elephants invaded the villages, destroying property and cultivations. A herd of 50 wild elephants have invaded in Nithai area today, destroying cultivations and people's lands. People in Adala Chennai, Palamunai, Alimsenai, Alankulam and Oluvil areas were suffering due to the threat of these elephants. Residents request the authorities to control this menace.
The funeral of veteran musician, the late Patrick Denipitiya, will take place in Toronto, Canada next Wednesday. He passed away at the age of 78. Veteran music director Patrick Denipitiya served as a guest musician of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation Orchestra in the 1950s. He created music for popular songs of several veteran male and female vocalists in the island. He was the music director of singular films like Sangavunu Manika, Loka Horu and Sanakelia. Veteran musician Mahesh Denipitiya is his youngest son. He was ailing for 15 years and passed away at a private hospital in Canada in the early hours of yesterday.
And welcome to Sports News on Rupavahini. The second one-day international between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh was abandoned due to rain at Surya Prabha Mahinda Rajapaksa Stadium today. Sri Lanka is leading the three-match series 1-0. The match was started at 2 p.m. today. Bangladesh won the toss and invited Sri Lanka to bat first. Sri Lanka were 33 for no loss of 5 overs when play was called off at 7 p.m. due to heavy rain. Bangladesh opening batsman Tamim Iqbal is a doubtful starter due to injury. He scored a century in the first ODI against Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is leading 1-0 in the three-match series. The next ODI will be played at Pallekele International Stadium.
Well, with Sports News, we wrap up today's bulletin of Rup-Eng-News. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good night.